Good evening, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to a special segment with 49ers talking with the Culps. Although it's the Culps talking about the 49ers and 49ers getting ready for game one. We've had enough we've had enough excitement with the revelations coming through the 49ers organizations, and it's time to kick into gear and look forward ahead because the Niners are still on the train to get close to what we want to see as another Lombardi. I have my special guest here, Brent, myself, Tony, and I hope everybody's having a great day, and let's get this show started.
Thank you very much for coming. Tony is my beautiful wife, and we are both passionate 49er fans. We appreciate you all coming. If you guys have questions in the chat, go ahead and feel free to throw them out. We're going to run through some stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit about week one, getting closer and closer to Pittsburgh, and what it's going to take for us to come home with that W.
And currently, we know that we are still unfortunately waiting to hear the news on Nick Bosa's contract and whether he will be showing up for week one or not. We are definitely hoping to see him week one. I don't know how big of a difference or impact it will make if he is not there, considering the team on the defense does rely on him a little bit, but we shall see. Maybe with Hargrave as an addition, maybe that'll soften that blow for the time being until the 49ers can make a deal to keep Bosa happy.
Sooner or later, hopefully we'll get some good news out of this gray cloud, this storm that's come upon us. And if you know anything about the 49ers, we have that foghorn. We weather the storm. We know how to get ships back home. And, you know, if you know anything, you just got to – not everything works out the way you want it. It's really hard, but just trust the process and things get better. And at the end of the day, we all root for the red and gold. And it's all about winning and hosting that Lombardi, you know. So I really feel strongly Bosa's coming. Bosa's going to get signed here really soon. I think it is a historic contract coming. And I believe he's waiting for two other defensive players that potentially are waiting for him or them to make the first move. Once they make a move, then the next person's – it's all about who's going to get paid the most or the guarantees, and it is just what it is. But real quick, let's shout out everybody in the chat. Thank you for showing up.
Definitely. Thank you for showing up.
Miss Dawn Dotson.
Hey, Dawn.
So thankful and very privileged and delighted that you come. You are one of the faithful that make it to almost everyone's shows. I see you when I'm in a chat, and I just really appreciate you. And then we have No Border Sports.
What's up?
If you know No Border Sports, you know he's one of the guys. He's one of the realest of them all. He helps stick together and keep this community together. Very, very strong opinions, but he's a cool dude, and you just got to, you know, if you know Ryan, you know, and if you know, then you know.
And if you don't know, well, now you know.
And then we got, you know, Mr. David McNiner, a good friend of the panel, a good friend of the faithful. I do a whole lot of stuff with David. I really appreciate him coming through. We got my friend and Tony's friend, a good friend of the family, a good friend of the faithful, Mr. Corey Davis.
Hey, Corey.
Appreciate you coming through, Corey. And then let's look at it. That's about who we got right now.
Carcast.
Oh,
can't forget Carcast.
Thank you. Coming through in the end, Carcast. You know, and if you guys don't know about Carcast, he is a young, up-and-coming YouTuber. He does a lot of great stuff. And, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like the age that we are, you know, we're not too old. We're not too young. But it's nice to see that people younger than us are coming in and still have the passion for that. And, you know, what is a show without the camel, the goat? Well, he's not a goat. He's the camel, Mr. Tommy Huxley. And, you know, Tommy Huxley, he referred to himself as a camel, not a goat. And Tommy's a very funny guy. And I want you guys to know, if you ever go to the emojis, don't put the one hump. He's got two humps because that's Tommy. Tommy's got two lovely humps. So thank you again for coming through. And yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Bosa. And if you guys want to be, you know, helpful, fun, interactive in the chat, throw out the numbers that you think Bosa is going to sign for. I've said it many times. I think he's going to sign between 35 and 40 million. I say pay the man. And that's my thoughts. Tony, how much would you sign, or do you think he's going to sign for, Mr. Nick Bosa?
I would say at least 35. I mean, if he would be honest to take 32 million, that I think might be great. But I would see him definitely trying to seek out 35, if not more. Considering, you know, these young guys, they come in and they know their worth, and with it being a very competitive position, And a lot of these other players that want to get paid just like any other football player, whether it's offense or defense, they deserve to get paid, but some things get ridiculously priced because some organizations have a little bit more money to play with, which makes it very competitive. Sometimes a little steep for other organizations to keep up with the demand of these pay increases for these wonderful players. We know that Bosa is definitely worth it as long as he can stay healthy. But yes, I would definitely say he would get $35 million for sure, guaranteed.
So I think 35 is a good starting point. I know a lot of people want them to go about 32 or 33, and really do appreciate that. If you could take a team friendly deal that can give us a little bit of extra money to maybe manipulate or sign somebody extra. There's been some news coming out since our kickers have been injured.
Both kickers.
Well, there's a thing, and maybe it's egg on my face a little bit too. Maybe I jumped the gun or kicked the can before I should have, right? But
or bought the jersey too soon.
But we have maybe one of the first Jake Moody jerseys, and I'm very proud. I got it on my Father's Day gift, and it was just one of those things that was really, really awesome. So I'm looking at it, and now the guy's got a quad injury. I don't think he's getting cut. I don't think he's going anywhere, but
he's day to day, seeing how his body responds to this quad injury, which doesn't sound too assuring.
So with him being like that, guess who they might just pick up the phone and dial? Tony? Who would you call it in this situation?
Robbie Gold, are you there? Please return my call. I desperately need you.
So, Robbie Gold, if you can hear us, please start warming up. Make sure you start stretching and getting ready because we just might need you, buddy. And remember, there's no love or hate here. I'm a big fan. I just want you to come in, be happy. I don't want you to have to live in a hotel, but if we're gonna make it nice enough for you, and you can muster it for a little while, then we definitely we would not be upset to bring you back. It doesn't mean the Jake Moody dream's gone. It's just
He's a rookie.
We need him to get healthy, and that's what it is.
And no offense to Mr. Mitch Wisnowski, but he's a puncher for a reason. He's not a kicker. So poor guy's out there putting the pressure on and trying to make a kick, and we know that man can't kick a field goal to save his life, unfortunately, but at least he tried, right?
Yeah, the guy, it's not that he can't make it. I think the nerves have gotten to him a little bit, and he's trying really hard to boom it. He's trying really hard to, show everybody why he's been drafted and selected. And, he's kicked it a little bit too hard a couple times. And
when your body's used to kicking the depth of field as you are supposed to, when you're punching a ball back 50 plus yards over a field, maybe sometimes a 30-yard kick might have too much force in it.
Yeah, when you're making a PAT, you don't have to kick it over the stadium. I'm really glad that you can. That's an awesome ability. Not everybody can kick the ball over the stadium. Not everybody can, hit the ball over the fence either. It's one of those things like you always want to make sure you park your car so far away from the batting cages and the diamond when you're at a baseball game, because there's just that chance that you don't want to come home with a broken windshield.
Souvenir.
And this guy has the ability to kick a ball through your windshield. So we just need him to be confident and get it done. So again, thank you guys all for coming. We are talking 49ers, and we're getting into the point where we're going to start talking about Pittsburgh.
And game 1 starts.
Oh, right here. Let me show everybody. We got this lovely, sorry about the glare, but it's a magnet, and the 49ers were giving it away at the game. So it's the season for giving, I guess. And it is awesome because now we can put the schedule right there on our refrigerator, and it tells us the date.
So game 1, September 10th, 10 a.m. on Fox. So we get a morning game versus the Steelers. That ought to be very interesting. Going to the home of that stinky yellow, what kind of towel was that again?
It's a terrible towel. It's a terrible towel. And, that's fine. Everybody has their own mantra. They have their own things that they, want to get hyped about and stuff like that. So Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. So they have a towel. We I don't know what they're wiping with the towel, but you can. Okay, so it's been said. But Pittsburgh is a very, very good team. They don't seem to lose very often at home. And since like 2014, either on the road or at home, week one, they typically they don't lose. They're like 9-1 or something like that. They are really just stout on the road and at home for week one. So us playing them at home is going to be it's going to be it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a challenge, I think, because one, the faithful do travel very well, but this is on the road. All those bubbles and everything, all that, you don't get to rely on your crowd a little bit. So unless the Niners come out and smack the Pittsburgh right in the mouth, Pittsburgh might get off really fast. And one thing that I've noticed, and I think Tony, you can allude to this too, is what are we having a really hard time doing on the defensive side of the ball?
Pass rush, pass rush, pass rush.
And stopping the run. We can get the pass rush, but if we exploit it too much, then they're just pushing that ball right down the throats of us, and they're going right by our pass rush because we're so focused on sacking the quarterback, and they're just running right past us. So
opening gaping holes for their running backs to run through, or even their running quarterback, which again, running quarterbacks, we seem to have a problem stopping as well.
So it's just one of those things. We got to stop the run, and we've wanted to stop the run for such a long time. We've been a historically bad rushing team for several years on certain points, and we've spent so much money to solidify that D line and stop the run. We've put a lot of money into emphasizing that. We've kept a similar defense to be able to stop this, and it's really upsetting. Maybe it's the playmakers on in preseason, but you still would like to see your second or third or even four stringers know the fundamentals on the gaps and where they should stop and tackle these players. When we're getting gashed, the Raiders gashed us, the Broncos gashed us, the Chargers gashed us. We if we could have stopped the run, then the Chargers wanted to run that what was it, a 70-yard touchdown almost on us or something. It was just crazy, and it's why, because we are afraid to tackle. We're afraid to get hurt. I don't think it's that. I think there's an issue right now. Maybe it's just gap assignment. I'm not quite sure.
I believe so, because I think that's what we seen in just this last game, when there was a couple of times where there was some huge gaping holes that was just left wide open, plenty of opportunity for the opposing offense to come run through, and whether it was the running back to rush through down the field or the quarterback to see his chance to just run with the ball when he can't make the play somewhere else, definitely stops the momentum of the way our defense is trying to work. And some of the things that we have working against us, not that it's necessarily everybody against the Niners, but Mike Tomlin, head coach, has not had a losing season. Some of the things I've been seeing or reading, some people don't believe that potentially the Steelers are even a playoff team, but I think they are. But I know that they have a semi-rookie quarterback with Kenny Pickett, but he is up and coming. A lot of different things to look out for him, especially if he's going to decide to run or if he's going to throw on us. We just need our defense to stay awake the entire time. I know that they have a lot of offensive side of the ball weapons, such as the running back they picked up the tight end that they picked up from Georgia, Darnell Washington. I would have really liked to see that tight end come to the Niners for sure, especially now knowing what happened to Latu, who is having meniscus surgery, unfortunately. So
we've definitely had some injuries in preseason. It sounds like we've lost Danny Gray. Well, let's start from the top. I believe it was Ray McLeod. We've lost Danny Gray. We've now lost, who is our wide receiver, number 17, who just, Conley.
Conley. No, he's fine.
Conley, they said he broke his wrist. So we'll have to double check that. But Conley, in his big pass yesterday, he walked off the field after
I think it's a shoulder injury.
So we've also had now a meniscus tear by Latu. So it doesn't sound like we're going to get rid of Latu. It sounds like he might end up going on the IR, and we'll have to store him somewhere. So he's going to be redshirted more likely, because you don't just give up on a guy just because he got hurt like that. So it's sad. Injuries, they're part of football. Can't stop them. Can't be afraid of them, because if you're afraid of them, then you just don't play, right? If you're afraid to play, then football players are warriors, and they go out there and they say, that's exactly what it is. It's a fight. It's a fierce battle, and it's not necessarily a fight, but it's a battle, and that's why they're warriors. So, But okay, getting more into Pittsburgh, they have a really good running back. Tony, could you look up who their running back is?
Running back.
They have a really good running back. They do have a quarterback, and she did allude to him, Cody Pickett. He's Kenny Pickett. Cody Pickett was another quarterback. I think he was a quarterback for the Niners. Kenny Pickett, I believe he wears number 16. He played last year. He's going through his growing pains. You have to go through growing pains with a rookie quarterback. You have to be able to win some and lose some. And it's really nice when you have a quarterback and a coach like the Steelers, who Tony just alluded to as well, and said Tomlin really hasn't ever had a losing season in Pittsburgh. He's been above 500 almost every year, if not every year. So it's somewhat relaxing when you can look back and say, wow, I have time to develop somebody because I'm not worried about my job. And I think that's what's happened. They got lucky with Big Ben. Big Ben came in and he really just took the league by storm. And now that they've had to move off of him, too many injuries, but Pittsburgh's always been a tough team. And I think Cinnamon Kiss said it, they don't have the best food in Pittsburgh, but they definitely have a big rowdy fan base, and that fan base will be there. They'll be proud and they'll be shaking towels. So if you guys are able to go to the game, make sure you are loud, wear a bunch of red so that we can see you in the stands, make that a sea of red. And if you have a towel, I think Niner faithful,
Towel.
Yeah, bring your rally towel. So
it looks like running backs for the Steelers would be number 22, Harris. I'm not going to butcher the guy's first name, Najee. But he's number 22, last name Harris.
Is it Najee Harris?
Probably. Number 30, Jalen Warren. And number 26, it looks like a McFarland. And then...
But Najee Harris is going to be the one that's really stout. He's going to be the one running through us.
So those would be the top three. Number 4 would be Haggins, but that looks like a rookie, Darius Haggins. I don't know how he's going to work out because this is an unofficial depth chart. But I do know they have a fullback. What was his name? I wrote his name down. Kendrick Green. Not exactly sure how he's going to play out because, again, I'm not a Steelers fan, so I don't pay attention to the players. But whenever you hear people mention other people's names multiple times, there's something that kind of raises the red flag of, hey, what does that guy do? Because the Niners are going to be coming into their home, and if that's a fullback that our guys need to be, a little leery of. Kendrick Green, and apparently he's taking the league by storm. One being a fullback, one of the dying breeds of the NFL. But it sounds like this guy's going to be trying to turn out, and hopefully our defense can just catch him and stop him and do what they got to do to hopefully prevent the Steelers from getting a W. Maybe we can make history and stop that winning streak.
Most definitely. I think, again, one of the biggest concerns about the team right now is the running game, because if we can stop the run, I think we can really shut down any opponent right now. But if they're going to run through right through the middle of the field, it's going to be a long day for the Niners. So with us coming up against Pittsburgh again, you stop the run. I don't think we have to really worry too much about our offense. I think our offense can, if you want to say deke and dunk, whatever you want to say, but I think our offense can manipulate and maneuver their way down the field. We have a lot of playmakers. So we can keep Purdy up on his feet. I think we're going to do really good this week. Well, here in a couple weeks.
It's going to be quite interesting because the 29th, I believe, is when we are getting ready to find out about 1 o'clock California time, 4 o'clock Eastern time, when the Niners will make that 53-man roster. So to see who's actually going to be there for us as far as 1, 2s, and 3s, that'll definitely let us know maybe a little bit on how it's going to be happening, because whereas some of the offense, you can kind of guess where it may or may not be strong or not at, but the defense for sure, isn't that bad. Other than not being able to keep up with the running quarterbacks at times, or not paying attention to the gaps that, maybe there is a missed block that unfortunately does seem to happen. I don't know if that's just a negative read by the rookies. However it is, once that 53-man roster comes out, we're going to be able to have a little bit more knowledge of faith in who is going to start. And we have no problem with the defense. It's when we face the running quarterbacks, I think that's when we start to get a little sketchy. And we have number 1 defense in the league. Some might say not, but we know we have the number 1 defense in the league. even despite being able to stop some of the run game of these opposing offenses. But even with that situation, the Niners are only going to get better. They're rising stars. They have different rookies that they're working with, and even losing some of our secondary and having to replace them with other players. And we'll see how that goes. Oh, and another injury, Hafunga. He doesn't have necessarily an injury, but he does have a Baker's cyst. And basically, all that is a cyst filled with fluid behind the knee. Doesn't sound to be too serious, but again, something that is in the way of him hopefully getting ready. But I'm hoping by the time week 1 comes, that won't be any situation to have to miss out on him showing up.
Yeah, we definitely need to watch out for the injuries. It seems like when we have a couple of key positions that go down, it really, really does hamper us. We have a lot of first starting players, first caliber players, like number one players in all positions almost. And it seems like when we lose just one or two of them, it seems like it really does hurt us a little bit. We don't seem to have, we have good backup players, but they don't have the same amount of talent that the starter has. Obviously, the starter is starting for a reason, but there is a big fall off. And for these players to be redshirted the way they are or not get to play in rookie year, maybe that's a problem because they're not getting a couple reps in that first season. So when we do have an injury, they're getting thrown into the fire. So, I am definitely looking forward to this season. I have a lot of, optimism about it. I think we have a really good chance going. It just depends on health. And I think that's been the issue of our team since probably 2012, 2013. As long as we can stay healthy, we can make a good run at this. So again, Pittsburgh, they seem to be a decent team almost every year. You can count them to at least have 9 to 10 wins every year. And we have started to be able to do that. It's not every year that we've been able to do that since, the Steve Young days, the Joe Montana days, everybody could count us in. But then we went through our Alex Smith days, our dark days. Kaepernick brought a lot of light to the team for a little while, and then we had our dark days with him. And we had the Blaine Gabbert days, and it's just, the Brian Hoyer days. And now it's time, if this is our quarterback we're moving forward with, then let's keep him healthy. Let's stay behind him and let's just move forward because, we have a lot of players. And I think what I'm getting to is like Elijah Mitchell. If he can stay healthy, the dude falls forward for a first down. He's just a beast. But when he goes down, then we're scrambling for a running back. And I'm really, really excited. And Tony, who are you more excited about, Jordan Mason or TDP? I think both of them look really good this year.
They both look really good, but what I'm looking forward to seeing is either one, because I think it was Mason that was responsible for the fumble in the end zone. And he did later in the game make up for it. He had his redemption periods. He did start looking better, and I think that got to him as far as, oh crap, I'm not doing that again. But there are a lot of times when the running back gets the ball and then you're only seeing them carry the ball for 2, maybe 3 yards. Well, if you give that quarter or that running back each time the ball, if you're only getting 2 to 3 yards, by the third down, you're still short of a first down. So it's kind of like we need a running back, not necessarily just CMC all the time, but, Elijah Mitchell, please stay healthy because if, again, you can get the ball at least 5 yards every time you get the ball, that's at least helpful because, 2 more times of that, you're at least you're still moving down the field. You're trying to move the chains. And sure, we can't make a first down every time we spike the ball or, hike the ball, but it's just 2 yards doesn't get you very far.
That's a good point because it's one of those things like when it's third down and 8, why are you throwing third and, a 5-yard pass? Or when you need 13 yards, you're throwing it a 9-yard pass. Oh, my wide receiver might be able to make a play. My tight end, my running back. Why aren't you throwing for the sticks? Why aren't you trying to push the ball? If you can get 5 yards, every time you run the ball, then run the ball. You don't ever have to worry about getting a third down. You're first down. Every 2 plays, you're getting another first down. Running the ball is not a bad idea. Throwing the ball, everybody likes throwing the ball. It's fancy. It's fun. It's exciting. It's fast.
Gets you downfield quicker.
Get you downfield way quicker. But you gotta be ready. And I think that's the one thing that this team has lacked for a while is the downfield attacking. I think they've started to get looser and looser, and I'm really hoping things can just like start to bust for us because one, we got a really good team. We have players at almost every position that can do multiple different things, versatile players. They're not all the same position players. We do have a deep threat. We do have, slant guys. We do have guys that can make yards after the catch. We got guys who can block. So I think again, like with the Latu going down, I think it makes it interesting. I think it gives an opening to some of our veteran tight ends that seem to be stepping up more and more. So,
Charlie
Tony,
Warner.
would you tell us your four new tight ends that you think will be making the team now?
Well, we obviously know Kittle is going to be number one. Who number two is going to be, I'm not too sure, but I know that's either going to be between Dwelly and Charlie Warner, and then Braden Willis. I think if we keep four tight ends, those are going to be the four guys for sure. Unless the Niners decide to only stick with three tight ends and use that extra roster spot for somebody else on the roster, whether it's offense or defense.
Yeah, I think they're going to keep. We're going to keep a couple guys on the practice squad if we are able to retain them. But I think the players you just said are making the team. They're going to be our guys, and I think just Latu, he's going to probably get redshirted, so they're going to figure out a way to keep him on the IR for the entire year or something. It's one of those things. You have to be able to stay healthy. Everybody wants to get paid. Everybody wants to see you do good, but there's only so many passes. There's only so many runs. There's only so many touches in a game. Everybody has to be able to say, okay, I can do this and I'm happy doing this and I can let somebody else score. And that was one of the big things about the 80s 49ers is people knew their roles and they knew when they were called on, they were expected to do this. But there wasn't a thing about, oh, give it to me. It's not me, it's the team. So sure, Jerry Rice scored a bunch of touchdowns, but when they threw it to John Taylor, Jerry Rice was happy. They scored. They're winning. It's about winning. It's not about stats for individuals. Statistics are great, but they're for people. They're for people like this who wanna play games and want to have fun, which is all fun about having fun. But when you get fantasy football, that's where the stats come in for. If stats meant a whole lot, then we'd have players in the Hall of Fame like Roger Craig that deserves to be there. So again, at the end of the day, it's about what you do, but it's about what you do, where you do it, when you do it, and how you perform on the field. And I think it has to do a lot with who you know. We know Roger Craig did a lot. He was one of the first players in NFL history, 1,000 receiving and rushing. He went, 11 years in the league. He played for three different teams. He played 8 years for the 49ers, scored 3 touchdowns in one Super Bowl, 3-time Super Bowl winner. And this guy is waiting. And his stats stand for it. They stand for it. He should be in already. And
what was it? 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving. The first running back to ever do that.
Yep, and
set the standard for the running backs.
We're waiting. We're waiting for him to get in because I think it's not necessarily who you know. He probably knows the right people, but it's politics. And if you guys know anything about politics is one of those acronyms, and you can break it down. Poly meaning many, and ticks, blood-sucking insects. So, just think about it like that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get Roger Craig in. If you guys want to help get Roger Craig in, there is a letter that you can send off to, is it Hall of Fame Football, Canton, Ohio? And we'll put the link in the description after the show. And please go ahead and write to them. We need as many letters to go to the Hall of Fame as possible because we're trying to get our boy Roger Craig, Superman, number 33, into the ultimate Hall of Fame. We want to get him his gold jacket. Us as fans, we can buy 49er gold jackets, but I think the best thing for us as fans is to help get our players who are deserving into the Hall of Fame. Let's help them get a gold jacket. So hopefully next year is Roger's year. This year he got passed up. He still has chances.
But just to take a pause for a moment, and this isn't anything to do or disregard to any of our very deserving players such as Roger Craig, but one of the gentlemen that are on the finalist list for the Hall of Fame is going to be Steve Mongo McMichael. And he unfortunately is somebody who is still currently battling ALS. He's one of the gentlemen that I was speaking on in my ALS video when I spoke on several football players who had either battled or are still currently living with the ALS, and he is still fighting to survive. And I'm hoping that with this news of him knowing that he and his family are going to be able to witness him finally get a gold jacket, I hope the man hangs in there and puts every ounce of faith and strength that he can into that, because I would really like for him, even though he's a Bear, he was, I guess, one of the greatest Bears in about 80, 85 or so. But Steve Mongo McMichael deserves his gold jacket, and
Yep.
I hope that he is going to be able to live long enough to be able to witness that, because that's one of the problems with some of the politics when it goes to getting these guys their gold jackets, is sometimes it's too late for some of these guys. They're not alive by the time their name gets called and they get to receive that gold jackets. It's somebody having to receive it on behalf for them, because they're no longer among us. And it would be nice that with these different situations that, you can't go and play favorites, but when the seniors are in charge, of picking these guys, that they play close attention and they make sure that they give the gold jackets to those who are definitely deserving. And don't forget, people like Roger Craig, because he doesn't deserve to go as his entire lifetime waiting for his gold jacket, when he put his time in, he put his effort and work in, and he set many standards and goals and has achieved a lot for many of these younger running backs who probably look up to him for certain things. And just because the guy fumbled, and sure, it caused us a three-peat or stopped us from a three-peat, that doesn't necessarily exemplify him from getting what he deserves. He should still, in fact, get his gold jacket, because there was a lot more that he did to earn that jacket versus some of his mistakes.
Most definitely. And first off, the fumble is definitely significant. It probably bothers a whole lot of people. But there's been a lot of new fans that's come in. They don't necessarily know, but the stats and what he did still stand true. He deserves to get in. And it really is sad. Some players seem to get in after they've been diagnosed with ALS. I don't want to take anything away from anyone, but shouldn't we get some of these players in just a little bit sooner before they have this horrible disease, this horrible
CTE or ALS.
Football is, again, a very violent very, very violent sport. We all love it. We love the grind, right? We like, the battle. We want to see the grind, and no one wants to see injuries, but it happens. George Kittle, again, he said just recently he all the time is having car accidents on the field because they're slamming into each other as fast as they are. So whatever we need to do to get them better, equipment to slow down the impact of these concussions and to help them.
Even with guys running into their own players. Some guys are getting injuries from their own players that they're running next to on the field. And, regardless if it's the opposing team or the guy that you run next to every day, you got to pay attention. You got to make sure you keep each other safe, not just yourself.
And I think also, too, it's like we want to start this out the right way. So we need to figure this out so we can get the youth, because youth is playing. We have Pop Warner, we have Pee Wee, we have all this other stuff, right? And we have kids that are playing Little League, all kinds of sports, right? Let's get them the equipment that they need. No, it shouldn't be $100 billion or whatever for parents to start out and get their kids into sports. But, growing up and going to school, and when I went into high school and I noticed that the other kids had the rib pad protectors and they had all this extra equipment, sure, it makes it a little bit nicer. It's not necessary. You can play football in a white t-shirt. But when you do have a little bit of the extra equipment, it does seem to help with some of the things. And no one should be without anything. And, sometimes, again, when you do have parents that can put a little bit more money into some of the things that you do, it really does help. Not everybody can utilize, having the best bat out there. You still have to have, the athleticism behind it to swing it and know how to drive it. But the same thing with football. You can have the best football out there, but you don't know how to throw it, or you don't have the ability. But having the equipment and putting more money into the children and having more money go into sports so these kids can stay safer when they are younger. So when they continue to play these sports and they are up to our age and they are playing sports, their contact, their brain's still there. So we don't have to worry about them having these awful injuries. We can't get rid of cancer. We can't get rid of ALS, and we can't get rid of CTS. But CTE, thank you. See, this is why she's here, so she can check me. And it's not checking me, she's got my back. This is my best friend here. So we need to continue to build with the children, right? You grow with your future. You invest, and when you invest in your youngins, then you get a good outturn. And It's only going to make the sport better. We don't want this to turn into flag football. We want people to be proud that their kids are playing football, not be afraid. I've heard so many people lately say, "Oh, my kids won't ever play football," and they announce the game or they report about the game, or they're actually coaches and they won't let their kids play because they don't want their kids to walk away and not be able to walk away. They want their kids to be safe later on in life. So like one thing for me is my dad, he didn't necessarily want me playing quarterback when I wasn't probably the best quarterback out there, but he didn't want me getting hurt out there either. So he's like, Bryant, why don't you go out for kicker? And you know what? I made the team third string kicker, third string quarterback and backup kicker at one point, and I took the kicking job in the year. So it's just what you're comfortable with. But again, get back to week one with the Steelers. If anybody has anything that they'd like to say about the Steelers that they want us to briefly talk about, then go ahead and throw it in the chat.
I like what Burns, he said. Take away the pads, they won't hit as hard. That makes sense.
That really does. Play it more like rugby. I like that. Did anybody notice in the game how low they were getting their pad level?
How low they were getting.
The Niners were taking some tips from the Eagles, and they're trying to get low. We still didn't stop them on the fourth down. They got the first down, but I still like that. They're starting to think. They're starting to see what other teams are doing, and they're trying to manipulate it and use it as well.
Be the best defense that they can be, because there's always room to grow.
So, it's just, again, you want the best for your team, and I think right now we don't listen to the noise so much. Stay true, stay faithful. Listen for the injury noise, so then you know who's coming. Tuesday, I believe we will have our cut down day, so the 53-man roster will be pretty solid. There'll be a couple changes a couple days after that. They always put players on the waiver wire, and then they put them on their practice squad, and we pick up players. So,
and sometime next week, we should learn a little bit more about our kicker situation, if we're going to be picking up somebody for the practice squad to utilize until the guy we drafted for is going to be ready. But we'll definitely know before game one, and we'll definitely know if Kyle Shanahan made that call to his good old boy Robbie Gold.
Because it's been speculated they're not opposed.
He wouldn't. He didn't say he would, but he did not say he wouldn't.
All right, so we have about 10 people watching. There's been a couple people in and out. So what we're trying to do is we've been blessed with some memorabilia recently, and we'd like to pass it on. You kind of pay it forward, right? And Tony's about 124 subscribers. Everyone here is probably subscribed. If you can help turn this and change this and share this and tell somebody else, tell a friend, we would appreciate it. What we're going to do when Tony hits 150, so she's at 124, we only need 26 subs, we will be giving away a signed Kaepernick jersey. Authentic. So tune in. And we also have a couple other fun things that we're going to be doing. We like trying to give away cups here every once in a while. So if you guys are interested in having a coffee cup, let us know, because we'll try to do that here soon. We don't want to buy subscribers. We like you coming because you like what you hear. But we have been sitting on this Kaepernick jersey for a little while, and there's only 7 here. So maybe you guys are going to be the only 7 that are lucky. But when we get a couple more subs, we will definitely be putting it out there. And in fact, Tony, you'll take over for a second. I will pull it out. Pause.
Sorry. That was great. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to week one. We had definitely a very long preseason, and without going into detail, we will just keep it at, it has been a very long 8 weeks. So hopefully when the regular season starts and we start getting rolling, everybody is positioned and we know exactly what to expect as far as who's our starters, second string, and whatnot. Can't really predict who's going to be great or not, but
so
going positive forward.
So please tell people about the channel. We're going to continue to do things. Me and Tony won't always be on Saturdays. Saturday today is just one of those random things because the ladies of the Empire needed a little bit of time. There's been a lot of news that's broke, and some people just aren't ready to talk just football just yet, and
some of the revelations that have come out have been very shocking, and they've been very disheartening to some, and I don't want to put anybody down. Nobody wants to put anybody down. We're all fans here for the same exact team, all for the same reasons. So everybody has to deal with their feelings or their emotions or the situations in their own way. And everybody here wishes the best for Trey Lance. It's unfortunate that we weren't able to see him progress any more than he probably could have or should have, however you may see it. But the Niners did do him well, even though they sent him off to a rivalry team. They did send him to a situation that could potentially give him a better chance at starting versus being a third string quarterback. And we wish him all the best of luck. I'm not going to root for you. You're not a Niner anymore, so I'm sorry, not sorry. But, you know, if I see you on the field, I'm not going to wish you get hurt. But I'm going to wish for my Niners to beat your ass. But
Yeah, most definitely. We don't want to see the guy go and be totally, out of the league in the next year or so. But now that you're on to another team, best of luck to you. It's sad because we wanted to see you do well with us. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a day that you reunite with the Niners. That kind of it could happen. Like Josh Johnson's been on many different teams several times, and it just sometimes it just works out that way. You get another stint with a team. But for right now, we want Trey to have a good opportunity in Dallas. He's got a big line. He's got good wide receivers over there. He's got a decent defense. He's going to have a quarterback that he can learn behind who plays maybe similar to a little bit like him.
And if Dak keeps jacking, then Trey Lance will just keep moving the chains up the top.
Yep, he'll get closer and closer to the starting. So again, guys, thank you all for being here. We're not going away anytime soon, but me and Tony would like to start doing things more and more, maybe sporadically. Maybe you might catch us at a late time, maybe 11 o'clock show or a 10 o'clock show, and you can catch us next day on a replay or something. But please share Tony's channel. If you'd like to share my channel, that's great too. But Tony Culp is growing her channel, and this is the Kaepernick jersey. Okay, and if you can see it, it is signed and it is official. It is official. It's 100% Kaepernick, and I like Kaepernick. Tony likes Kaepernick too. But I think this is a really cool way to, show the faithful that, we appreciate you as well. And we would really like to let this go to somebody that actually really cares about the guy, who cares about the team, who wants to take care of this jersey because it is a good jersey. It's in an immaculate condition.
Kaepernick was one of the stepping stones where, kind of like you get that, you have a dim candle and it might be burning low, but it's still burning. And it's kind of like that situation where, ever since we lost Garcia, it has been iffy for a quarterback situation ever since then. Even with Garcia, it wasn't the greatest quarterback to have on the team. But when Kaepernick came in, he came in during a time where the quarterbacks we were dealing with weren't the greatest. We didn't have the greatest offense. Defense didn't seem to be too bad. Some years, I think the defense was all that we had, obviously, even kind of till now, even though our offense now is doing a little bit better with the different wide receivers, running backs, fullbacks. But my point being is, yeah, there's some people that like Kaepernick, and I'm not opposed to Kaepernick. He's that light for me because we went to the game and we seen him, and even though he was out because of an injury and was on his way out to losing his job to somebody like Blaine Gabbert, Kaepernick did do a lot for the Niners when he was there.
Yeah, Kaepernick was an amazing player. Really, really, really rooted hard for him when he went to the Super Bowl. Wanted to see him repeat. He, had a good opportunity to go really far with the Niners. But then we started messing up and we started letting players go that we shouldn't have let go. We let our coaches go when we shouldn't have. We maybe moved off of Alex Smith a little bit too fast. Maybe the way we moved on to Kaepernick, we burnt the bridge with Alex. Alex went on to do good other places, but we had Alex for such a long period of time, and we weren't getting the success
And he had injury situations.
Alex kept getting hurt, and I like Alex. Tony likes Alex. I hope a lot of you guys like Alex for what he did for the team too. But when Kaepernick came in, he was that burst of fresh air. He was that guy that just put us over the top.
Yeah, the arm, the legs.
Yeah, and he's just one of those guys. You're like, hey, we can get behind it. But then there was things that we found out later about. Maybe he could have worked harder at doing certain things. Regardless, I think he had an opportunity to learn that. But the league had caught up to him at a certain point where he needed to evolve. And I think because of his injuries, because Kaepernick got injured, he did turn into a vegan, and then after that, he didn't come into camp, as big or as strong or fast as he was, and that kind of really hurt him. When you come into training camp, you need to be ready to go. So shout out to Nick Bosa. Hopefully, you're in the top physical fit shape that we all believe you are, because when you do come week one, we believe you'll be here week one. We need you to be ready. ready.
Ready.
So, yeah, thank you all for coming. We're going to probably jump out here in a second. Thank you all for coming again.
Everybody put your scores in. What are your predictions for the Steelers versus Niners game? I'm going to say it's going to be a close game because I'm not going to say the Niners are going to go there and get blown out. I would like to see them win, but I don't want to sound like a homer. But I am going to say that the Niners could get the win, even if it is off of a kicker's leg. But then again, I don't know if we have a kicker. So I think we're going to go 21-14.
21-14. Niners take the W. Okay. So the Steelers game for me has been a really big. I'm not nervous, but I don't think this is going to be a very good game for us because, again, it's in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't lose at home week 1. But I am confident in the team. I'm not going to turn this game off. I believe in our team. I think we're going to win this game 32-28. I think the Niners come in pretty hot. I think we're going to come in pretty hot, and I think Cody Pickett might have a good game for the Steelers, but I think the Niners are just going to push that. They're just going to push further, and I really think so. So, guys, again, thank you for coming. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about the channel. We will be doing this closer. Tony's at 124. If you are interested in telling a friend that knows about Kaepernick who'd like to win a jersey, or if you're interested, I don't mind. Get your kid to
34-25. Corey Davis 24-20. Yeah, just remember, stay faithful. As a fan, there's a lot of things that we unfortunately don't have control over, and we can't decide what's going to happen within the organization or on the field. But at the end of the day, we're all still Niner fans. We are still rooting for the red and gold and the name on the front of the jerseys, and just hope for the best and just pray that this team and organization will get to where they need to and get over that hump, because we know that they can make it to a Super Bowl. We just need them to actually win it. And we're waiting for number 6. We deserve number 6. And as long as these guys can actually see that and work hard and play hard and just do the best that it is for the team and for the guys and for the fans, and that's all we can do is just stay faithful, stay positive, and like Fred Warner said in the locker room last year, it's one game at a time. That's all you got to do. One day at a time, one game at a time.
Yep. Ignore the noise. Stay faithful. Remember, above all, protect the team. And with that, guys, we really do appreciate you. Hope to see you again. And
have a great Saturday night. Looking forward definitely to some positive news, and we'll either get Robbie Gold or we'll have a healthy kicker.
I'm not giving up on Moody yet, okay? So for everybody, if you haven't heard yet, this is a very, very fun term to say. This is going to be a Moody season. So be prepared, because there could be some ups and downs for this season. But at the end of the day, it's Niners all day. And appreciate you coming. And we'll be back. You guys have a great Saturday.
Go Niners.